Councilor Baker.
Here.
Councilor Siomo. Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Jackson. Councilor LaMattina.
Here.
Councilor Linehan.
Here.
Councilor McCarthy.
Here.
Councilor Murphy.
Here.
Councilor O'Malley.
Present.
Councilor Presley. Councilor Wu. Councilor Yancey. And Councilor Zachem.
Here.
We do have a... I will, Councilor Flaherty.
Yep, please record Councilor Flaherty as present. I'm informed by the clerk that a quorum is in attendance. Could you also recognize Councilor Jackson in attendance, please? I now have the pleasure of introducing Councilor Josh Zachem, and he will present our clergy for the day, Rabbi Daniel Klein. Councilor Josh Zachem, could you, oh, you're all standing. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rabbi Daniel Klein is joining us today. He is the rabbi in residence of the Boston Synagogue in the West End. He's also the director of admissions for the Rabbinical School of Hebrew College and the director of student life at the college. Rabbi earned his BA from the University of Chicago and was ordained by the Rabbinical School of Hebrew College in 2010. He's lived, studied, and worked in Chicago, San Francisco, New York, and now Boston. And it's a pleasure to have him here representing the Boston Synagogue in the West End. Thank you.
Thank you.
Esteemed council members and guests, it is a great privilege to be here with you today, to have the honor of opening this meeting with words of prayer. My hope is that my time here will be of some use to you in preparing you for the important work you do on behalf of the citizens of this great city. I want to especially thank Councilor Zachem for inviting me here today and for being a friend of my synagogue, the Boston Synagogue, and more importantly to its members and the citizens of this city. I want to open by inviting the spirit of a man named Thomas Weller into this room. In 1964, Mr. Weller was a macho young man living in Illinois, sure of his infallibility as so many young people are. And despite his mother's warnings, he went out driving one night in a blizzard, and his car went off the road into a snowbank. He could have died out there in the cold, but someone came by, stopped, and pulled him and his car out of the bank. When Thomas asked him what he owed him, the man just told him, "Pass it on." And for the last 50 years, Thomas Weller's been driving the roads of San Diego County and passing it on. He carries spare jacks, extra equipment, and even a baby delivery kit in his car, which thankfully he has not had to use, looking for people in need. And when he finds them, he stops and he helps. He's been called an angel, a savior, a hero, all because he actively looks to help people in need. You, council members, are Thomas Wellers of our city. You go out each day looking for the people and places of this city that are broken down, stuck in ditches and snowbanks in need of repair, and you act. You take action because somewhere along the line in your life, you are awakened to your interconnection to your fellow human beings, your gift to lead, and your obligation to serve. You take action because you know, as Jewish tradition and so many others teach, that each person is a world, a sacred manifestation of the divine source of being, and must be tended to with love and care so that we can live out our fullness. And you're dedicated to helping the great people of this city have the opportunity to live fully. You take action because you recognize that in a city with such extraordinary wealth, it is unconscionable that for so many people the right to education, safety, shelter, food, and opportunity goes unfulfilled, and that these rights are empty words without people such as you to help us realize them. And you take action because you have asked to be sent, and we, the people of this city, have sent you to help us live up to the dream of what we can be. Yet we know that the forces that push us off course and distract us from the work we are sent to do are strong and determined. The psalmist declares that there's a presence in the world that is lo yanum velo yishan, that is forever awake, a guardian of wakefulness. As you go about your work today, we pray that you are awake to the extraordinary gift and responsibility you have to serve the people of this city. We pray that what brought you here, the people and moments who inspired you to do this important work, are with you, and that the consciousness of their inspiration informs your efforts here today and always. We pray that you not be daunted by the seemingly insurmountable challenge of making Boston a city in which a life of prosperity, opportunity, dignity, and security is available for all to enjoy, and instead work tirelessly for what you can achieve, heeding the words of Jewish tradition, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena. It is not for you to complete the work, nor are you free to desist from it. And we pray that your views and the needs of your constituents be passionately yet respectfully present in your work, so that in your inevitable and important disagreements with your fellow council members of how to bring these qualities of opportunity, prosperity, dignity, and security to all of our citizens, that in those moments you're able to turn towards each other and work in fellowship to achieve a better city for all Bostonians. Thank you. May you have a good and productive meeting.
Thank you, Rabbi Klein, for your important and inspiring message. At this time, Councilor Josh Zakem will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance of the United States and to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, for all. Councilor Zakem will escort Rabbi Klein outside the chamber. Thank you, Rabbi Klein. I'd like to call Councilor Timothy McCarthy to the rostrum, please, for a congratulatory and presentation and recognition.
Thank you, Mr. President. The city of Boston has had some violence this year and some tragedy. On January 25th, a two-alarm fire broke out in Reedville, and a longtime resident of Reedville, Dolores Rabbit, lost her life. As this two-alarm fire broke, 4 neighbors broke into action. Dustin Horan to my left, Boston Public Works Department. I've worked with him in Hyde Park for a long time. He was actually working for the department. He was pre-treating that section of Reedville for incoming inclement weather. And Tom Connors, who couldn't make it today, he's a FedEx employee, longtime Reedville resident, great guy. He couldn't make it today. But Dustin stopped his truck after smelling the smoke. They kicked in the back door. They looked for a resident, if anybody was in the house. Fully engulfed, two-alarm fire, 2 men going into the kitchen for somebody they didn't know. After, unfortunately, finding Mrs. Rabbit, they pulled her from the house after risking their own lives. On the front lawn waited Mike Lee. To my right, Boston firefighter off duty, and Mike Brown, who wanted to be here big time. He's a Boston police officer. He's actually surveilling somebody. He's under surveillance right now. So I got a text, I think probably some dark van saying, I'm watching a guy who can't go. So he's really disappointed that he's not here. They performed CPR on Mrs. Rabbit, did everything that they could. Unfortunately, it did not help. But the thought of for Boston residents, jumping into action and risking their own lives. Now, I know that Mike and Mike have said to me from the get-go, you know, we're trained. This is what we do. I'm a Boston firefighter. It's what we do. But it's still the thought of getting involved, and it makes us all feel a little bit better to be in our neighborhood. So as representing all of you here, myself and the city of Boston, if the president could read a resolution for the four of them.
So the resolution is for Michael Brown, Thomas Connors, Dustin Horan, and Michael Lee. Official resolution offered by City Councilor Timothy McCarthy. Be it resolved that the Boston City Council extends its appreciation to the aforementioned in recognition of outstanding bravery in an attempt to save lives during a fire in Hyde Park, neighborhood of Boston. And it be resolved that the Boston City Council hereby express its congratulations and best wishes for continued success, that this resolution was duly signed by me, the President of the Boston City Council, and attested to by the Clerk of the City of Boston. Dustin? Thank you. Yeah. Men of few words, but great action. Thank you very much. Thank you. You honor our city by your activities. Thank you. Yep. Could we ask everybody to come up for a photo? You guys get right up front here. Look at the camera, guys. Great. Nice job. Again, thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask Councilor Murphy if he would remain here at the rostrum for a special presentation. Go for it.
Thank you, President Linehan. It's an honor to be back. For some reason, I want to say, Madam Clerk, communications from His Honor the Mayor, but I won't do that. Thought he was going to hit. I actually have a high honor today on behalf of all of the members of the City Council to invite my fellow Hyde Parker and Boston Latin School classmate, Bill Sinnott, the former Corporation Counsel of the city, to come down. Today, Bill, is February 12th, and it is Bill Sinnott Day in the city of Boston. I get in trouble. And I have the honor to read the resolution. Whereas William F. Bill Sinnott was born and raised in Boston, where he graduated from Boston Latin School in 1975. He then went on to Holy Cross College. He couldn't get into Stonehill, and graduated there in 1979, and then began service with the Marine Corps. He served at Quantico, Camp Lejeune, Guantanamo Bay, and elsewhere from 1979 to 1982. Mr. Sinnott is married and has 4 daughters. His better half, Sharon, has joined us. She's up back here. If we could give Sharon a little round of applause. Bill left active military service to attend Suffolk University Law School, after which he became Assistant District Attorney for Norfolk County. He was hired as an Assistant U.S. Attorney in Boston, has served as Deputy Chief and Chief of the Drug Task Force, and as the District Office Security Manager for Massachusetts. He left the U.S. Attorney's Office to pursue political office in 2001. And while practicing private law, Mr. Sinnott was recalled to active duty in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And upon his return, Governor Romney appointed him as a trustee of the Massachusetts Maritime Academy. Mr. Sinnott's Marine Corps Reserve career has featured assignments in the United States, Norway, Greece, the United Kingdom, Spain, Korea, and elsewhere. His most recent assignment found him serving with the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force as the Director of Security of the Project and Contracting Office in Baghdad, Iraq, where he was responsible for the safety of hundreds of military and civilian personnel and for shaping policies on reconstruction, contractor safety, and private security firms. And whereas Mayor Thomas M. Menino appointed Bill Sinnott as Corporation Counsel for the City of Boston in 2006, in a position which he oversaw the law department and a staff of approximately 60 attorneys, paralegals, and administrators. Therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Boston City Council in meeting assembled do hereby offer their congratulations and gratitude to Bill Sinnott for the service he provided to the country and to the City of Boston, and do declare that Wednesday, February 12, 2014, be Bill Sinnott Day in the City of Boston. This resolution is duly signed by the President of the City Council and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the City of Boston, who are both here. Congratulations, Bill Sinnott.
Thank you. Councilor Murphy just whispered in my ear that this will be one of the more friendly settings for me here at the council. I've always thought this is a special place. This is the heartbeat, the pulse of the city of Boston. Every week, sometimes several times a week, the city council hosts opinions of every stripe. They host advocacy, they host change, and that's what I think these spaces are all about. And if you don't get a feeling as you walk in here that this is a place for change, then you're probably not listening to what's going on. It's nice to be back among friends, although I have to tell you, I can't get over how things have changed in the 12 days since I've been gone. Murphy's sitting in the back row.
I haven't got used to that yet either, Bill.
Then again, at Latin school, he always sat in the back row, and for different reasons. And at Stonehill, I'm sure he did the same thing. Tim McCarthy has hair shorter than me. I don't know what that's all about. Charles was the first one in the chamber this morning. I mean, I'm completely off my game here. And Linehan looks like he's in the witness protection program. But it's all good, and I just, you know, we've become friends at times. Our relationship has carried different interests, mine for the administration or for a particular legal position. Sometimes it's been combative, but always I think we appreciated the fact that we were all speaking from the passion of our conviction, our beliefs, and our roles. And I do feel like I'm among friends here, and I want to thank you so much. You know, for the couple of you that are still awake after Murphy's reading of my bio, let me just tell you, it's, you know, when people thank me for my military service, I always answer, as I will today, don't thank me. It was my privilege. My time as a Marine was one of the great blessings of my life, and I always felt like I was the lucky one. To be able to put that uniform on was really something special and something that I hope to be able to earn. And I feel the same way about my time as Corporation Counsel. I had 8 wonderful years
every day was a privilege for me. Every day made me feel like I was doing something special because I was working on behalf of the people of this great city. And I know that each of you feel the same way, and you should feel the same way. This is a calling. This is something that's been extended to us that we have to seize on, we have to take full advantage of. And when it's over as it is now, then you look back with great memories and a lot of thanks. So thank you for having me here today, Council, and thank all my friends from the Law Department for being here, and others from the city for being here. You guys are the best, and you're going to, I'm sure, do amazing things for the new administration, but I'm very touched that you saw fit to come down here and spend some time with me today. So thank you all very much.
I just wanted to take a brief moment to recognize Bill from a personal perspective. As I've been on the council nearly 7 years, he has been the chief counsel of the city of Boston that entire time. I found him to be extremely accessible and open. As someone who doesn't take himself seriously, but he truly takes all the work that he does so seriously. He's done an enormous job, an incredible job of protecting this corporation, our great city of Boston, along with, in his service to the country, protecting the United States of America. So we all know we're indebted to him. He continues to lead in the best way in the city by example. So I want to thank Bill for his friendship and his service. Thanks, Bill.
Listen.
Nobody listens. We need a couple of Marines in there. Sergeant around.
Welcome aboard. Congratulations.
Back where I belong.
In the back row.
The beginning of a coup.
Great, thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks for your service.
If there are no corrections to be made, the minutes will stand approved. Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. Order of business, communications from His Honor the Mayor.
Docket number 0335, message and order authorizing the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management to accept and expend a grant of $1,148,877.20 from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Regional Catastrophic Preparedness Grant Program, known as RCPGP Grant, for FY 2011 for the purpose of catastrophic planning within the designated region, including the Boston urban area, Providence urban area, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, State of New Hampshire, and State of Rhode Island.
Matter 0335 will be placed in the Committee on Public Safety.
Docket number 0336, message in order for confirmation of the appointment of Eugene L. O'Flaherty, Corporation Counsel of the City of Boston, as the liaison to the State Ethics Commission.
Matter 0336 will be placed in the Committee on Government Operations. Petitions, memorials, and remonstrances.
Docket number 0337, petition of day and night transportation for a license to operate motor vehicles for the carriage of passengers for hire over certain streets in Boston.
Matter 0337 will be placed in the Committee on City and Neighborhood Services and Veterans Affairs. Reports of public officers and others.
Mr. President?
Yeah, could you read matters 0338 through 0343.
Docket number 0338, notice was received from President Linehan of the appointment of Councilor Baker as City Council Representative to the Boston Housing Trust, expiring January 4th, 2016. Docket number 0339, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Lisa Chung to the Boston Art Commission, expiring March 1st, 2019. Docket number 0340, notice is received from the mayor of the appointment of Eugene L. O'Flaherty as Corporation Counsel, effective February 3rd, 2014. Docket number 0341, notice is received from President Linehan of the appointment of Councilor Josh Zachem as the City Council Representative to the Boston Groundwater Trust, expiring January 4th, 2016. Docket number 0342, notice was received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the Ordinances of 1979 regarding actions taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the city council at its meeting on January 15th, 2014. Docket number 0343, notice is received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the Ordinances of 1979 regarding action taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the city council at its meeting of January 29th, 2014.
Matters 0338 through 0343 will be placed on file. Reports of committees.
Mr. President, would you like me to read both?
Yep, would you please, Madam Clerk?
Docket number 0241, the Committee on Ways and Means and the Committee on Environment and Parks, to which was jointly referred on January 29, 2014, docket number 0241, message and order amending an appropriation order that would raise the amount of $29,085,000 to $34,759,000 for the purpose of closing out a landfill area, opening a new landfill area, making improvements to an existing landfill area, and/or for the construction of a municipal outdoor recreational and athletic facilities, including the acquisition and development of land and the construction and reconstruction of facilities for the purpose of the city departments, including the Parks and Recreation and Public Works Department, submits a report recommending the order ought to be read for the first time and assigned for further action. Docket number 0242, the Committee on Ways and Means and the Committee on Environment and Parks, to which was jointly referred on January 29, 2014, docket number 0242, message and order authorizing the Mayor of Boston, on behalf of the city, to file applications and execute agreements for grants and/or loan assistance with the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection and the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Pollution Abatement Trust of Massachusetts, pursuant to Chapter 21 and Chapter 21(9)(c) of General Laws of the Commonwealth, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Chair of Ways and Means, Mark Siomo, and then we will hear from the Chair of Environment and Parks, Matt O'Malley, Councilor Matt O'Malley.
Seem like they should be linked, but they are, and were jointly assigned to the Committee on Ways and Means and Environment and Parks on January 29th. A hearing was held on Thursday, February 6th. We had testimony provided by Meredith Wienick, the CFO, as well as Para J. Singh, the Chief Engineer for Public Works. Docket 0241 has a very lengthy history. It's a loan order that was first introduced to this body in April of 1994. It closed a landfill and developed Millennium Park in West Roxbury. This current increase to the loan order in the amount of $5,674,000 is to fund the aspects of the project in order to make it eligible for the city to apply for state-sponsored financing plan that provides for no interest or low interest loans. It was clear from the hearing that these improvements will be an asset to the community funding these improvements so that we can take advantage of this state-sponsored financing plan is a win-win for the city. Please note the path of 0241 is different from 0242. Docket 0241 is a loan order, and it requires 2 votes at least 2 weeks apart. Councilor O'Malley and I recommend that docket 0241 should receive its first reading and be assigned for further action. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Siomo. Councilor O'Malley.
Colleague and friend from District 9, the Ways and Means Chair, Councilor Mark Siomo, for co-chairing the hearing with me, as well as District 5 City Councilor Timothy McCarthy for participating in the hearing and asking some great questions. Obviously, he has a unique background and the wonderful success story that is Millennium Park. It was 20 years ago where the motion was put in place, and it was in the year 2000, 14 years ago, where what was a former landfill was capped and a beautiful, incredible park was launched. Over 100 acres, there are great ball fields. I think virtually everyone in this room has been there for different youth sport events. People running, people walking dogs, there's a boat launch. It really is a feat of Marvel engineering, and I am extraordinarily excited that Phase 2 will commence should we pass these 2 dockets and begin what will be built next. For those unfamiliar with the site, it's close to, that we're talking about for Phase 2, it's close to the West Roxbury Educational Complex. We'll be putting in a turf football field, the only turf football field in West Roxbury, a new running track, a baseball diamond, a softball diamond, a basketball court, a tennis court. It's really going to be incredible. Millennium Park will be the destination for athletes of all ages throughout Southwest Boston to come participate, get some exercise. And the fact that, again, that it was a landfill 2 decades ago, the fact that it's now thriving is something that I'm just so excited about, so grateful for former Mayor Tom Menino, who really, this is among what is will be remembered in his legacy, and our new mayor, Mayor Walsh, who's shown an equal commitment to making sure that this works. As has been mentioned, the hearing was very informative. We were briefed on the logistics of placement of the fields, as well as the environmental monitoring for the site. Docket number 0242 itself authorizes the city to apply for a Department of Environmental Protection financing plan that makes money available at no interest or very low interest for projects like this. The specifics of the amount of low or no interest money available for this project will be determined through the application process. Should things go well, it will begin around St. Patrick's Day. And I fully support this project, obviously, and am excited for this opportunity and really this partnership with the state to be able to finance this at a low interest rate. Now, Docket 242, unlike Docket 241, requires a straightforward vote, and the Ways and Means Chair, Councilor Siomo, and I recommend that this matter ought to pass. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Councilors Siomo and O'Malley move acceptance of the committee report, and that docket 0241 received its first reading be assigned for further action. Do we need a roll call vote on this? Yes. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilor Baker. Yes. Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Siomo. Yes. Councilor Siomo, yes. Councilor Flaherty. Yes. Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Jackson. Councilor Jackson, yes. Councilor Lamattina. Councilor Lamattina, yes. Councilor Linehan.
Yes.
Councilor Linehan, yes. Councilor McCarthy. Yes. Councilor McCarthy, yes. Councilor Murphy. Councilor Murphy, yes. Councilor O'Malley. Yes. Councilor O'Malley, yes. Councilor Presley. Councilor Presley, yes. Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, yes. Councilor Yancey. Councilor Yancey, yes. And Councilor Zachem. Councilor Zachem, yes. We have a unanimous vote, Mr. President.
The clerk has informed me that it is a unanimous vote, and the matter will be assigned for further action. Docket 0241. 2. Right. Councilor Siomo and O'Malley move acceptance of the committee report and passage. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and docket 0242 has passed. Matters recently heard.
Docket number 0240, message and order approving a home rule petition for the General Court entitled "An Act Amending the Preparation of Certain Bilingual Ballots in the City of Boston."
Councilor Flaherty.
My colleagues for passage of this docket today. We had a very informative hearing yesterday, expedited, largely driven by the fact that there's two special elections just around the corner for the Massachusetts House of Representatives in both Dorchester and Charlestown. The matter was attended by Vice Chair of the committee, Tito Jackson, along with our colleagues, Councilor Michelle Wu and Councilor Ayanna Presley, and joined by residents and citizens of Boston who are concerned about this issue, along with the city's election commissioner, Geraldine Kadaya. And so one thing we heard was that clearly the steps and strides we've made that started actually at this body many years ago, that be kept in place, that we remove the sunset clause so that they don't have to continue to come down here every few years to fight to have bilingual ballots. We worked out the cost issues with the state, where the cost for the ballot preparation will be handled by the state, but we will obviously handle the transliteration of the ballots along with the ballot questions. We had citizens from the community come down and testified on its behalf and asked for passage. And so at this point, I'd like to ask my colleagues to pass this matter, and if anyone wishes to speak, they can do so. And also a special thank you to Christine O'Donnell from Central Staff and Robin Casper from my staff for getting this together in short order, working with Mayor Marty Walsh's staff to make sure that we're in compliance with state regulations, and we're also in compliance with the federal regulations by the Department of Justice. So this is a great measure that, again, started on this body a long time ago, and it's an opportunity for us to finally close the door on it and move forward with bilingual ballots for Chinese and Vietnamese, all of whom we know make great contributions to our city and to all of our neighborhoods. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilor Flaherty moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0240. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the matter is passed.
Madam Clerk, could you read dockets 0344? Oh, motions, orders, and resolutions. And will you read dockets number 0344, 0345, and 0346?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Docket number 03444, Council Linehan and Baker offer the following: order approving a petition for a special law regarding an act regarding the school committee of the City of Boston. Docket number 0345, Councilors Linehan and Baker offer the following order for hearing regarding medical marijuana dispensaries. And docket number 0346, Councilor Linehan offered the following ordinance amending CBC Chapter 9-1.3, inspection and reinspection of rental units.
Chair recognizes Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words on each of these matters. 0344 is a refile from last year. We had a broad discussion on it, a series of meetings, and I just feel that the dialogue should continue within the new administration. I firmly believe, in talking to residents and parents alike, that there are not enough avenues for folks to present their position related to matters of the school department and the school committee. And for the City of Boston and for the City Council to have the opportunity to confirm the appointments to the school committee is a place where we can interface in a position of influence with the school committee. And also, it's no different than some of our other appointments that we confirm throughout the city, like the BRA or the Landmarks Commission or in other places. So I won't belabor the point, but I just think that this should move forward in this year, and look forward to being assigned to the appropriate committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Linehan. Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and thank you, Councilor Linehan, for offering this here. I'm happy to co-sponsor this home rule petition with my colleague from South Boston and look forward to having hearings and working sessions on this important matter. In 1989, the voters approved this very language, which was later taken out. This act would simply add the same language back to Chapter 108 of the Acts of 1991. We approve other appointments, and we should approve the school committee as well. As elected officials, we are held accountable for our actions by our constituents. We should also be able to hold our school committee accountable. I believe this petition, in part, allows us to have some say in this process. There was an op-ed in the Herald today calling it a silly idea. Maybe we can send the city messenger over to the Herald and tell them that the new administration may be open to having an equal partner in the city council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. Chair recognizes Councilor Yancey.
Thank you very much. Very briefly, I'd like to commend the two makers of this proposal. But I have to be candid in saying that I don't believe it really goes far enough, but we can discuss that in committee. I don't understand why the Globe, the Herald, and others have this feeling that the people of Boston cannot discern candidates for the school committee. I just don't understand it. We have 351 cities and towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and only one of them, the people cannot elect their school committee members. Is there something about the intellect of the residents, the voters of Boston? Mr. President, or Mr. Vice President, I am very, very concerned and indeed upset with the fact that we're witnessing state takeover of at least two of our Boston public schools. And this is after the people of Boston gave up the right to elect their school committee. And there was an implicit bargain more than 20 years ago when that happened. The bargain was that, okay, people of Boston will give up their right to elect the school committee in exchange for a higher quality school. Now, some will argue that the schools have improved. I don't see that improvement, and I happen to have been a graduate of the Boston Public Schools from kindergarten to 12th grade. All four of our children graduated from the Boston Public School system. And I have a granddaughter that graduated from the Boston Public School system. So as a consumer of public education in the city of Boston, I think I'm in a position, just as well as everyone else, to discern whether things have improved since Boston became the only city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts not to have the right to elect the school committee. So when I say I don't think this goes far enough, it's very, very clear that I believe, at least, that the people of Boston should decide who the members of the school committee should be. That should not be the sole province of the mayor of Boston and whatever committee he appoints. I would also say, Mr. President, that as the longest-serving member of the Boston City Council, I had the opportunity to observe the activities of the school committee before it was appointed and after. And I think you would agree with me that it is rare to see any member of the appointed school committee come before this body to advocate for more resources for the schools. Directly opposite what happened when we had an elected school committee. No, the elected school committee was not perfect, and there were one or two individuals who may even have brought shame onto that institution. But in their heart, they fought hard for the children of Boston, and I believe had it remained elected, their successors would have done the same. So thank you for allowing me to say a few words about this. I'm looking forward to the hearing.
Would you like your name now? Add your name?
No.
Thank you. Docket 0344 will be assigned to the Special Committee on Charter Reform. Anybody wish to speak on 0345?
I'm sorry. I thought my button was pressed.
Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This particular matter, 0345, Recently, the state designated 2 locations in the city of Boston for where the dispensing of medical marijuana will occur. One of them happens to be in my district, downtown on Boylston Street, and the other is on Southampton Street, which is presently in Councilor Baker's district. Clearly, this is a designation by the state. We had little or no input. I virtually had none. And I think that a hearing is appropriate so that we as residents of the city of Boston and those who have businesses in adjacent to these operations get a clear sense of how they will operate, the security measures, because marijuana is very expensive today and extremely valuable, and therefore security is a real issue in and around each one of these dispensaries. So I think that this is an appropriate order and one that I hope will be placed in the appropriate committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Baker.
And allowing me to sign on. I have a lot of questions and concerns as to my constituents concerning these new licenses. I'm very interested in finding out how and why the DPH chose the location, in particular on 70 Southampton Street, to host one of the 2 marijuana dispensaries in the city of Boston. The DPH website in part states that the selection of the dispensaries was based on local support and public safety. However, to the best of my knowledge, no one in my district was contacted, including myself, about supporting this recently granted license. This location is in my new part of my district and is home to methadone clinics, homeless shelters, the Greater Boston Food Bank, Suffolk County House of Correction, and the Suffolk County House of Corrections. We're dealing with crime, prostitution, panhandling, and drug dealing on a daily basis. We're already struggling with quality of life issues and don't need another issue to contend with. These neighborhoods and the abutting neighborhoods who feel the impacts of these issues cannot continue to bear such burdens. I understand that the voters approved this ballot and that medical marijuana can help patients struggling with debilitating diseases, but the choice of this location was ill-advised. It's my understanding that other cities in the Commonwealth and country require these selection companies to obtain local zoning approval and community support before a license was granted. I want to know why there was no community input and no outreach regarding these locations prior to the licenses being granted, and what the benefit and safety measures to Boston will be in hosting these dispensaries. I look forward to speaking with the DPH, ISD, and the Public Health Commission regarding this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. Chair recognizes Councilor Jackson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I lost this part of my district in redistricting. I spoke with probably about 10 to 15 companies that were planning to put marijuana dispensaries, and most of them wanted to put them in my district. Some wanted to put them right next to the beautiful new building that we have in Dudley Square. There were some folks who wanted to put it 2 blocks from where the city is dropping about $125 million there. I spoke with the folks through the chair to Councilor Baker who put this forward. Sadly, this is the only team that blatantly misrepresented the relationship that I had with them and used my name, and I'll just note and read it, that our efforts have included conducting extensive sit-down discussions, plural, with Tito Jackson, Boston City Councilor for District 7, in which our proposed RMD would be located. We shared with Councilor Jackson recent public safety statistics from Oakland, California, which demonstrate that a well-operated dispensary can help improve neighborhood safety and general livability. He expressed his appreciation for our efforts to directly engage our potential new market neighbors and abutters during the current pre-registration phase and pledged future support upon award of a provisional registration. We also extend ourselves to the Boston City Councilor Rob Consalvo, whose district adjoins Councilor Jackson. There are so many mistruths in this, Mr. President. that I can't begin to express my frustration. One, they might want to get an understanding of where our districts touch each other. That's the first thing. And then secondly, at no time did I pledge future support for this. I think when we look at this area where there's a jail, as noted, when we look at this area where we have a level 4 biolab, Mr. President, where we have a highway, trash transfer, and over 2,000 people a day, 2,000 people a day that receive methadone treatment every single day of the year. The state of Massachusetts is being sued for the building right next to this, where someone wanted to put an additional methadone clinic and have another 1,000 people receive methadone a day. This is the mentality is not about it not only being not in my backyard. It can't all be in our backyard. We can't have all of the amenities that we have there. We have a hotel that the city has about $5-6 million in that actually almost lost its flag. It would have gone back to the investors based on what's happening out in front of there. In addition, the folks from Long Island get dropped off right in front, right across from that hotel. This, to me, is an ill-suited place for this dispensary. I, too, agree, and I voted for there to be dispensaries. I think there's a great deal of cause and reason that folks can use marijuana as a medicine. But when we look at where we're putting this, and actually Councilor Murphy and I, Councilor Linehan was there, we had to go to the police department and get 4 officers for that area so we could clean it up. And this hotel, which we helped to save, would be saved. Interestingly, they arrested 60 people in that area. You know how many of them were from Boston? 2. We have felt the burden of all of this treatment that's happening in our neighborhood and community. And it was hard for me to lose this, and I still have an affinity towards it. I would love it back, Councilor Baker. I don't believe we can open that again. But again, too much burden in our neighborhood, too much burden in one community. And with folks who are misrepresenting or willing to misrepresent relationships like this in the onset, what is that going to mean in the future in terms of their relationship? I look forward. I want to compliment Councilor Baker as well as President Linehan for their leadership in bringing this forward. I look forward to an expedited hearing so we can do right by the people of Boston and in particular the neighborhoods that we're speaking of. Thank you so much. And yes, I'd like to sign off.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Chair recognizes Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Councilor Jackson said a lot of what I was about to say about good faith. I was contacted by a group called Good Chemistry, Inc., and they've proven to have anything but good chemistry. They asked me to sign a letter of support for one of these dispensaries in a downtown location to be determined later. And I said, well, I'm not going to support that. Or would I do a letter of non-opposition? I said, well, I will. And in my letter of opposition, I said, the dispensary should be allowed within designated areas of the city and upon taking into consideration the views of the surrounding community. And that got me on page 1 of the Boston Globe today because they submitted my letter as a letter of evidence of local support, which it wasn't. And now I am signing on to this hearing order and can't wait to go up and oppose them for playing fast and loose with my name and reputation. And was something brand new. Voters decided that we should offer this, and it was something brand new. I remember former Councilor Consalvo trying to get out ahead of it late last year, saying we should do something with zoning, and I think he may have even filed an order on it. so that we could kind of control where these facilities went within our own borders. And instead, the process has kind of run us. And it's run, a lot of us are in this business and everything is with your word. And people that come in and ask you stuff, you take them at their word. And in this particular ask, the word is no good. And the first time for me in 18 years as an elected official to say I've been lied to, that I was lied to. And I'm glad Councilor Linehan and Baker filed this order, because maybe we can correct this before it's finally set in stone. Please add my name, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Docket 0345. Oh, I'm sorry. Add your name. Thank you. Docket 0345. Oh, sorry.
Just add my name.
Councilor Yancey adds his name. Anybody else? Councilor McCarthy. And now, docket 0345 will be assigned to the Committee of Healthy Women, Families, and Communities. Docket 0346, Councilor Linehan. Recess. We'll have a short recess. Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Matter 0346 was a controversial matter that passed the City Council last year. It was a matter that was drafted in a way that I opposed here on the floor, saying that we wouldn't have the operational capability to execute and inspect properties. And I also felt that it was an encroachment for the city to be in folks' homes for no particular reason. And that, so I know that other members of the body have also felt this way. There's been an enormous amount of communication to my office, and I'm sure to the rest of the city councilors, to repeal the inspection of rental units as proposed in Chapter 9-1.3. So I look forward to having a hearing. This matter here is presented in the way that it had been in place for many years here in the city of Boston, but looking forward to getting as much feedback from folks in a hearing to maybe improve that matter as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Chair recognizes Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you again, Council Linehan, for filing this. This is something that I get an awful lot of complaints on. I think the law that was passed, the ordinance that was passed, is awful gray. I think that to go into this when we do change this up, I think it needs to be attached to our problem properties. I think this ought to be used as a tool to go into our problem properties, have it be more complaint driven. I think the people that are owner occupied, they were supposed to be exempt. Exempt means exempt, so they don't have to have they won't have to have inspections or pay the fee. The one good part of this ordinance that I do like is the registry, because I come across an awful lot of problem properties, and if this can be used as a way to help us as a tool with our problem properties. Again, complaint driven. I look forward to the hearings, and I also want to assign my name, please.
Thank you,
And I
Councilor.
won't speak anymore today. That's the most speaking I'm going to do all year.
It's fine. Councilor Yancey.
I will not promise that this will be the last time that I speak. I'd like to commend the makers. This is an issue that my office has been working on, as well as several other offices. Last year, we did convene a hearing after the law was passed, and we, quite frankly, got an earful from property owners of all stripes and backgrounds. We also heard from individuals who tried to comply with the law that very few people understood. And they were turned away, Mr. Chairman, saying that they had to go back, get on their computers, and register. Now, I don't think everyone in the city of Boston is necessarily computer literate, and those who are ran into problems as well. And unfortunately, we're learning every day about the frailness of our information technology, as the President of the United States himself had difficulty accessing the internet and registering for the Healthy Care Act. So I think it was totally, the implementation of this law created more problems than it solved. We all want to get to the bottom of any problem properties, and that was why I supported this ordinance initially. But its implementation has forced me to actually oppose it. So I'm looking forward to the hearing, and hopefully we'll have a very robust debate and discussion, as we did have under the leadership of Councilor LaMartina when he chaired that particular hearing. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'd like to commend the makers. Thank you very much. No.
Chair recognizes Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you to Councilor Baker and Councilor Linehan for bringing this issue up. 1996, my wife and I bought a 120-year-old duplex. It is the pride of my life. Even though when it gets humid, I can't shut half the doors. It's part of the deal of having a 120-year-old house. But I am an owner-occupant, and I feel that this is something that I'm being punished for. And even when I was running this summer, I heard a lot of this. My area of Mattapan, High Park, and Rosendale, we have a lot of multifamilies. And people that I talk to, homeowners who live there, they work in our areas, they have great tenants, and the tenants have great landlords. They're being punished by this. This is a punitive ruling. I asked to be placed on this docket, and I look forward to working with the councils.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Chair recognizes Councilor Presley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Certainly, I share the frustration of our constituents about the way in which this was implemented. It left much to be desired, and I do look forward to a hearing to better discuss and identify ways that we can ensure a successful implementation. But I still maintain that the spirit and the intent behind this is honorable and much needed. I would be very worried about our going to something that was purely complaint-driven, because the reality is that there are seniors who are living in homes that are not within code. There are students who are living in substandard housing. There are immigrants that are living in poor, unsanitary conditions. And folks either don't have the education to know that they should be reporting because they don't realize they're living in a space that is substandard, or they are too intimidated to do so. And so moving to a solely complaint-driven model makes me very nervous. And to imply that we sort of know where the problem properties are also makes me nervous as someone representing an entire city, because I think that presumes a lot about certain neighborhoods and certain area codes. And so I do think it is incumbent upon us to ensure that everyone in the city of Boston have a home, and have a home that is in good condition. And so I appreciate the spirit and the intent behind the legislation, but do not want to do something onerous, because we do owe our landlords a debt for contributing to our revenue and to our city. So I do think that it's worth a second look, but again, I stand behind the spirit and the intent behind the legislation to protect our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. Chair recognizes Councilor Jackson.
Mr. President, this is one of the only times in my life that I've heard the word exemption costs you money. Even if you were exempt, you still had to pay to have your name listed on this registry. Mr. President, I actually voted for this. And I'm willing to admit that I believe I was wrong. And the reason why I was wrong was because, and I want to thank Councilor Yancey for holding a hearing where we did get it. We heard it from folks. I don't believe I was wrong because of the spirit of the legislation. I don't believe I was wrong for the potential lives that it could save, and because I think this came from some folks who actually lost their lives over in Alston, sadly. But I think I was wrong. I was wrong because of exactly my pause in doing this, Mr. President. It's Inspectional Services Department is already an overburdened department, and to add more to ISD was just wrong. It wasn't going to happen. They weren't going to be able to deal with this mandate. They weren't going to be able to get into all of these units. And they couldn't even send out postcards. I had someone receive a postcard on September 1st letting them know that the deadline had been extended to August 31st. The rollout and the implementation of this was flawed, and we were heading in, and also remember, we had a 5-year time frame in which this was supposed to get done. If they couldn't send out the postcards, if they couldn't even let people know about it, I very much doubt we were going to end up at where we needed to be in 5 years. I think other aspects of ISD, I'm hearing in terms of health and building inspection is actually going much smoother. This is a additional burden to that department, but most importantly, a burden to the folks who own homes and actually open those homes up at this point. So please add my name. I look forward to an expedited hearing. And this is an ordinance, and I look forward to being able to reconsider this and hopefully reconstitute it in a way that actually works and that isn't burdensome. And if not, we need to throw it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Chair recognizes Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Yeah, I appreciate the efforts by the lead sponsor on this issue, and clearly I stand ready to work with all of you to make sure that we can address some of the deficiencies that are currently in the law, to work to address and allay some of the concerns that many, particularly the small property owners, have. There is always room for improvement, and I stand ready, willing, and able to work with that. I did want to briefly echo some of the comments made by my at-large colleague from Dorchester, Councilor Presley, is that there is an important issue here that the intent of this bill that cannot be overlooked, which is providing folks with safe and healthy places to live. And that was part of the reason what we heard through every working session, through every hearing, through the passage of this ordinance by a vote of 9-4, by its signing by the prior administration. We need to be able to use the resources to make sure that we have safe, healthy places for everyone in every neighborhood and really address those that need the support, need the help the most. So I again look forward to participating in the hearing and to make sure that we can address many of the concerns that we've all heard these past several months. But I also do again want to reinforce the importance of the intent of this legislation, why I voted for it and why I support it, and I know why many of you did as well. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Anyone else wish to speak or sign on? Docket 0346 will be assigned to the Committee on Government Operations.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Let's take a 1-minute recess here while I gather my thoughts. Thank you. late files. I'm informed by the clerk that there are 2 late file matters which, in absence of objection, will be added to the agenda. Hearing no objection, the matters are added to the agenda. The clerk will read the first late filed matter.
Order of Councilor Charles C. Yancey calling for hearing to review the fiscal year 2013 audited financial statements filed in the City Council on February 12, 2014. Would you like me to read the second one, Mr. President?
Yes, could you read both?
Thank you. And also an order for Councilor Charles C. Yancey calling for hearing to review the fiscal year 2014 budget year to date, filed in the City Council February 12, 2014.
Okay. Recess for 1 second, please.
The first one has to do with a review of the audited financial statements for the City of Boston as of June 30th, 2013. I know most of our colleagues have received the comprehensive annual financial report for the City of Boston. It was actually sent to us back in December of 2013. And just for a quick review before we actually get into the hearing, the City of Boston that fiscal year actually had a surplus in revenue of $28 million, but we had a deficit on the expenditure side of close to $20 million, leaving it roughly an $8 million surplus as of the most recent fiscal year. There's a lot of activity that took place, a lot of transactions, literally hundreds of thousands of transactions that took place, but I think it's very useful for us on an annual basis to review the audited financial statements. In fact, that's our responsibility. The second late file, and incidentally, I apologize for the 2 late files. I wanted to file it last Friday, but we had an unfortunate tragedy in my district that we had to attend to. The second item has to do with reviewing the budget for the current fiscal year. The City Council, with my vote, and I think a unanimous vote, passed the fiscal year 2014 budget, the last budget submitted by Mayor Menino. And I've had the opportunity, Mr. President, to take a look at the first half year's operation. And at the last council meeting, I noted that in one particular line item, we've expended more than 72% of the allocation for the current fiscal year. And that raises a concern with me, and of course I'm referring in this instance to overtime. Typically, you don't want to see more than 50% expenditure on any item after the first half of the year, but there are explanations for it. But it's a cause of concern for me that we have many departments, as I mentioned during the last meeting, which exhausted 100% of the overtime budget item in the first half of the year. What's more concerning, Mr. President, we'll get into more detail, of course, at the hearing in the appropriate committee, is that there are dozens of other line items that have also gone well beyond the 50% expenditure mark when we're only one half into the year based on these numbers. There's some positive signs as well. On the revenue side, we were likely to exceed the budget in the area of meals excise, room occupancy excise, jet fuel excise, vehicle rental surcharge. We've already collected 79% of what we projected for the current fiscal year. But there are other areas that we're not doing quite as well, particularly in the area of interest on investments. That's pretty obvious and almost expected. We've only collected 25% of the projection, which was a very modest projection in the area of interest on investments. And finally, Mr. President, in the area of building permits, the city's doing very, very well. We've collected well over 88% of the projection in building permits in the first half of the year. So that's a very positive sign. So I'm looking forward to the hearing to discuss this item and the fact that the vast majority of our city departments are already well over the 50% expenditure mark for the first half of the year. That should be of great concern to the incoming administration, because that means they have fewer resources to work with. And a few of those items, such as in overtime, many departments have exhausted all of the appropriation for those particular items. So thank you very much, Mr. President, and ask that these matters be referred to the appropriate committee.
Yep. Thank you, Councilor Yancey. Please, Madam Clerk, place both late files in the Committee on Post Audit. Councilor Flaherty?
That involves a special law consideration to have it referred to the Matter on Government Operations Committee.
Madam Clerk. Absence of any objection, that matter will be placed in joint committee with the Committee on Government Operations and the Special Committee on Charter Reform. Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, if anyone's wishing to remove docket from the green sheets, you may do so now. There are no matters removed from the green sheets. We have 4 late files that will be added to the consent agenda, if there's no objection. Hearing no objections, these matters are added. At this time, anyone wishing to adjourn in the memory of folks will do now at this moment. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Is this from the green sheets? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor O'Malley, for what purpose do you rise?
I ask for unanimous consent to make a brief statement.
Yes.
Thank you,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
President. About a year ago, I put a hearing order before this council calling for a feasibility study to discuss possibly bringing the Olympics to the city of Boston. We decided to hold off on that hearing because there was similar legislation that was filed at the state level, which passed and was funded by the governor, and a commission set up to study the feasibility of hosting the Olympics in Boston, or to potentially pursue a bid for hosting the Olympics in Boston, was enjoined. It's an 11-member panel. They've had 5 hearings thus far. I've been working closely with the lead Senate sponsor on that, Senator Eileen Donahue. And the 5th hearing was yesterday. The final hearing will be in 2 weeks, and the committee will make their recommendation, or the report will be ready by March 1st. So I just wanted to briefly touch base with all of you. I know this is something that many of us have shown an interest in. It's obviously very topical. I'm sure, like many of you, I've been watching the Winter Olympics in Sochi and thinking ways that we could do it here in Boston, and I dare say perhaps better and differently should we decide to pursue a bid. And this is something that many people are excited about. I know I am, about the potential just with everything that comes with the games. But we're also very mindful of the costs that can be associated, not only the public safety cost and the infrastructure and transportation costs, but just the significant costs. The Sochi Games are a record $52 billion. So I just wanted to briefly touch base with all of you, let you know that the Commission is soliciting feedback from everyone. They've brought on PricewaterhouseCoopers to come up with some sort of a funding plan. They've begun preliminary talks exploring options for private-public partnerships. It's very exciting to again see if we do decide to pursue with this. It'll be the end of the year, the time frame, the end of 2014, where the United States Olympic Committee will narrow down the cities that are going to go to the next step, and then it would be 2017 when the International Olympic Committee would make their decision. Again, it's important that we have caution with this, that we examine every potential pratfall and cost and what would happen should we decide to pursue this. But things are underway, and we should, within the next month, know if we are going to go forward with a potential bid. And obviously, it is vital that this body play a significant role because we will be clearly impacted the most. So stay tuned and go USA. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. I've been advised by my predecessor that I was remiss in a responsibility and in moving for adoption of the consent agenda. I appreciate that. So all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. And the consent agenda has been adopted. Thank you. At this time, I'll ask all councilors to rise for memorials. Thank you. For Councilor LaMattina, Paula Chula, and Dr. Peter Farino. Councilor Linehan, the Chair, Sonia Keller. Councilor Murphy, William F. Billy Crimmins, and Jack O'Callahan. For Councilor Yancey, Dr. Peggy Olivia Brown, Curtis Wells, Henry Young Sr., and in memory of Juan Marcos Pena, the 9-year-old who was shot and killed in Mattapan. I'd ask you all for a moment of silence. Thank you. The chair now moves that the council will adjourn in memory of the aforementioned, and we'll meet again on Wednesday, February, Madam Clerk? 26th at noon. Thank you. The session is adjourned. We need to get one. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Before you all go, we need a photo of the Boston City Council. Okay. Where do you want the photo taken? We're going to do a group photo? Yes, it is. This is it.